When we look for a partner, it's really, really important to kind of remember that your aim in coming together is not being happy.
Oh, is that?
I mean, that's what you said, right? I mean, that's what triggered
hey,
this.
Let's consider, Wai Jia. You're not gonna be happy.
No.
Welcome to Couch Convos. My name is Cliff.
And I'm Wai Jia. So Couch Conversations is really an exciting series of episodes that we've put together to talk about relationship questions that we've received over social media from many of you. And this couch right here is really the same couch that we have and we use in our weekly heart talks in our relationship. So we hope this will bless you.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
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 Hi. Wait lah. Hi, I'm Marcus. Concept of the what? The one? The one like as in like soulmate. Yes.
Yes, like everyone just has like their soulmate or something. Like there's just one person that they are destined to be with.
Yes, because like when God chooses someone for you, He will tell you when the time is.
I believe that the one changes over time as we change. It's just like up to us to find and it's up to us to chase her.
Yes. Yes. No. Yeah, actually no.
Yes, I do. He loves us a lot and he would do a lot for us. Most of us, we may not feel like he's the one. We need a physical person. Once we get to know him, it'll get better.
Yeah, God is the one. Because you are not the one. God is the one, yeah.
I think that like relationships are very subjective, so it like depends on what stage you are in life, right? Like you can't immediately look at one person and be like, oh, this is the one I want to spend the rest of my life with, right? Life can change. So no, there is no the one.
No, I don't believe in the one.
I don't.
No.
No.
No, I don't think there's such thing as the one lah.
No, I hope not. It's a bit crazy to think that there's only one person for you.
If God has destined one person to only specifically be with another person, as long as one human being walks out of this design, then everything would fall apart.
So if you get married to the not the one, then by right, everyone won't find that one.
I do believe there is a one. I guess for me it's seeking the Father first, and in His time all things will come to place.
There is really only one lah. As the Lord directs law. So there isn't like the one.
I feel like when we do that, we kind of build like a very false reality for ourselves, in a sense that it leaves us expectant for what we would want lah. Yeah, I think in the end God does design us in such a way that we are to be with people lah, but I don't think God has designed us to be like with a single person on the earth.
If I believe that there is the one, I'm going to be single forever.
So we don't have to put ourselves in a box that this is the one with the certain boxes that we have to tick in order to find an ideal partner in a relationship. But we just need to trust God in the process.
I believe that the concept of the one is something that you become and not something that you find.
Love is an ocean, you can drown me. The sweet embrace the
I've dated quite a lot of people, and every time I dated them, they felt like the one.
There needs to be an emotional connection, a mutual understanding of each person as a human being. I think like everyone will have their own flaws. It's just like how the two of y'all would like travel along and like journey together to like continue to grow closer to Christ.
Compatibility is important, having the vibes is important, but you can have chemistry with a lot of people.
There will be people who will be similar to the ideal type and I just have to find.
I believe that a lot of times that's an ideal situation. It is something that I think I would definitely want.
Yes, I believe in the one. The one will be able to understand you and he will be the right one for me.
I don't believe in like the one as in somebody that's absolutely perfect, because I don't think anybody is perfect.
Oh wow, so interesting, very refreshing. 2/3 of the interviewees do not believe in the one. I'm actually quite surprised by the results. Are you?
Well, if God designed everybody match for one person in the world only, and if it doesn't work out, then the whole plan falls apart. I disagree with that actually. Because if you read the Bible, right, there's many times where God's plan did not work out and God's way still go through. Right? So for example, like the Israelites asking for a king. And God said, I did not want them to have a king. But because you asked me, I will give you a king. Right? So God's plan does not fall apart. Like, not the way that I've been reading.
Okay.
You know, God has a way to work things around it.
I see.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Do you believe in the one?
It's so funny. These answers really shocked me because they said 2/3 of the interviews do not believe in the one. I'm like, wow, that's a very mature answer, because back in my time when I was growing up, when I chatted about this with like my girlfriends and stuff, I think we all believed that there was a one, and it took me so many years to actually like reorientate and reframe my thoughts about that.
I thought you said.
Yeah, so I mean, I love that part where, you know, there was this chickababoom, you know, and it was like, yeah, you know, if one person doesn't match, then everything will fall apart. And in a way, I agree with that. It doesn't make sense for, you know, everybody to have only the one. But what I really think is that God has allowed us to play a part in co-creation. Just like what you said, like, you know, sometimes when we ask God for certain things, He responds to us. I feel like God and us, we have this like special interaction, like a relationship. And He does hear our prayers, He does know our hearts. And it's through that interaction with Him that He also gets to respond, and we also get to respond. Yeah, so I don't really think that there is so much the one that we have to like, you know, go towards and find, and oh man, if we miss it, we're gone for life. But rather it's that relationship with Him, right? Based on the kind of decisions that we make and the route that we take. Do you agree?
I mean, for me, when I was looking for a relationship, I really never thought about the idea of the one.
Really?
So it's funny because I never thought about, I must find the one. For me, I just like, do I like this girl? Do I think she's cute? Okay, good. You know, like, you know, does she go to church? Okay. If it didn't work out, which many didn't, until you came along, then it's okay. It's just, you know, you felt a bit hurt and you move on. And the funny thing is that you think about it, like, how do I know who is the one?
Right.
I do not know until I end up marrying her.
Oh,
right?
Okay, I understand.
Like,
so it's a journey of discovery.
Even when we talk about like singlehood,
right,
dating, like I say there are risks because there are unknowns.
Right.
Right. Of course, God knows from beginning to end.
Okay.
But for our eyes, there's unknown. Like I don't know what will happen when I pursue you. There's that element of risk.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You're saying that it's possible that a person can have many different choices, but it's up to you to discover like who the right person for you is. Is that what you're saying?
I think we all have to make that choice.
Right. Nobody is perfect, right?
Yeah.
And we are all actually trying to learn and discover how we match and fit each other. So I think if we have the mindset that there's this one person for me, then it can be quite shocking, like when you go into a relationship and realize that, oh my goodness, we actually disagree, we actually have things that we don't like, we actually have conflict, we actually have baggage, then oh my goodness, you must not be the one. But what if the person is actually God's design for you? Is just that you need to work through those things, right?
Yes. And I mean for us, right, like, you know, our story of coming together is quite, I would say, quite divine per se.
Crazy,
I remember when we made that video when we first got together, right? At the end of the video, I said that this is not about us living like happy ever after.
Right.
I didn't expect to realize that we have so many differences as well.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean,
it's
conflicts
really true.
as well.
Yeah, it's
and
really
I think the conflicts help us grow with each other and grow to be a better person.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't see that as part of relationship, you'll be in a whole whirlwind of surprise. Right?
Okay, now I'm dying to say something.
I
think what you shared was really spot on, and it kind of made me want to share something, because I think, you know, when we're talking about the one person, right, it's this idea of this person will match me, will fit me. But the thing is that if we have that idea, then conflicts will really be so discouraging. Then we might even go back to think, oh, did I pick the wrong one? Right? But I think this whole idea of being grounded in our values is the most important thing. So for example, I think, you know, we always emphasize that when we look for a partner, it's really, really important to kind of remember that your aim in coming together is not being happy.
Oh, is that?
I mean, that's what you said, right? I mean, that's what triggered this.
Let's consider, Rachel. You're not going to be happy.
No, but what I really think is that, you know, when two people come together, we should be grounded on our values. Like, what is the bigger picture? What is the purpose and the vision that God has called us to together? Like, for example, I feel like, I mean, of course, there was chemistry, there was that love, there was that happy factor, right? But we also had this common goal of serving the poor, doing missions together. And I'll just give an example, right? Like last night, we were talking about missions again, and we actually had a conflict. And we were talking about it, and like, I'm just gonna be super honest, like Cliff and I are both very intense in our own ways. So, I mean, he's sharing what he feels, I'm sharing what we feel. It's pretty intense, right? But if I go back and say, oh, you know what, we always have these kind of discussions, you know, we're just not meant for each other, you know, let's just call it quits. But I think at the end of the day, we always remember, like, what is the greater purpose that God has called us to? And if we have that in mind, then all these things, right, are just obstacles or just challenges that we need to grow and learn through. So for me, I've never like doubted, like, I mean, of course, in times of like great conflict, I do wonder, like, oh man, like, how did we get together? You know, I do wonder that. But I remind myself that God did bring us together in a very sovereign, in a very special way, and that allows me to work through it. Yeah. Okay.
That's a very hard question.
Yeah.
But I'll give you a hard answer. And I think both of us believe that if you're dating someone who is in a different faith,
yeah,
it is not a good idea. Yeah, because we always see our relationship like of dating in like a triangle. You are here, she's here, and God is at the top.
Right.
But the idea is that as you pursue each other, or you're helping each other grow towards God.
Yeah.
Right.
So I want to jump on that because I think what you're sharing is like the values that are most important to you. And I think this is the thing that we really want to emphasize to young people. Like, be really clear about what your values are, because if your values don't align with your actions, that's when things really fall apart, and especially for something as important as marriage. So for example, there's some young women I've met, they tell me that they love God a lot, and they say that their faith is very important to them, they're very spiritual, spirituality is a deep part of who they are. And then they get together with someone who is not of the same faith. Now for me, this is an issue because you could have a lot of similarities, a lot of chemistry, a lot of great times together, but that fundamental value is not being addressed. Many years later, they say they struggle, the spouse or the boyfriend doesn't want to go to church and all that, and it drains that part of them that is so central to this core value that they really treasure but now cannot have. So I'd rather young people be honest with their values. Sorry, now I'm being a bit harsh, I'm being quite intense, but do not say that you love God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, and that it's then okay to choose somebody of a different faith, because that doesn't align. And it's this misalignment that causes people a lot of pain in the future. They say that I cannot break up with this person, but yet my spiritual life is dwindling, I'm really dying, I'm suffocating because I cannot reach my goals of doing this and serving and all that, and yet on the other hand, I can't let this person go. So the question really is, then what are your priorities and what is your value? Because if you decide that I do not want to break up because the heartbreak is too great, then you also simultaneously accept that the pain of holding on to a person whose values do not align with yours is actually not that bad. You're actually admitting that the pain of heartbreak is greater, and therefore you have to admit to yourself that I didn't value God as much as I thought. So I think it's this clarity and this honesty that we must have with ourselves to make good decisions.
For me, right, I have no problem of doing online dating.
Okay.
I think the key is the heart behind it. So for example,
true.
You know, when we do online dating, we, you know, swiping different profiles, people they like, right? Are they looking for a person like they're shopping on Carousel?
Right,
you know
right. Yeah.
Like, am I just finding the best deal there, you know, to get what I want, right? Because I deserve the best.
Right.
Or I don't want to get short change, or I don't want to, you know, and for me, when we look for a person that way, actually devalue that person, because that person is no longer a person. It is like a piece of clothing, a merchandise, right? So I like this color. I don't want that color. I want, you know, the MacBook Pro to have, you know, 2 terabytes of hard drive space or whatever. Like, you know, I think we lose that human touch. Right. So I think we have to be careful of how we do online dating. Right. The funny thing is that I went on online dating before she showed up, like a long time ago. Okay, so like, so me and my friend, like, this is very immature. Both of us are very shy in nature. So, you know, the only way you can overcome that shyness is you just go out and do something about it. Right. So he went on a dating website, and I say I want to go on too, and then, you know, we have this competition to see who can get like the most dates out of, like, you know, in this, you know, I say I won. but you know what? The funny thing is, did any of those days I went on become a relationship?
Yeah.
None. Actually, one of them becomes good friend. But my point is not saying that whether dating website is good or bad, or whether it works or doesn't work. I'm sure it works. I'm sure if you find a story that there's someone who works, right? But I think it's the heart behind it. Like, you know, if you're willing to say, I'm gonna look for a person I want to be in a relationship for a long term, then take it a bit slow if it's going too fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Because what's a couple of weeks or months compared to years if you're gonna say in a relationship.
No, it's so true. I totally agree with everything that you said, like, you know, online dating not being inherently right or wrong. For me, I think one of the dangers of online dating, not only can it become like, you know, very superficial in terms of, you know, I want this height, I want this race, you know, whatever. It can become almost like shopping, that's one. But the other thing is also the speed at which it goes. So I've had mentees, for example, who have come to me and said that they went on an online dating site. At that time, it was just for fun, you know, just try it out, let's just see what happens. But from there, they strike up a conversation with someone and it goes really deep, really quickly, because these messages just go to and fro like the speed of lightning, you know. I mean, back then, Cliff and I were long distance, we had very intense conversations, you know, we already had
email.
Yeah, it was slow, it was email, and there were times where he wanted to video call me and I just like killed the call, you know, because I'm like, you know, it's going too fast. But so back then we had that privilege, so-called, but now things are going so fast, and before you know it, they're meeting up one-on-one, you know, at each other's homes, and then very quickly it goes into, oh, we are together, but we never thought through this. We're too young, we don't match, we actually have different faiths with different values, and things can go fast and wrong really quickly. So what I would really suggest and caution young people is, don't see online dating as inherently right or wrong. Don't ask yourself, is online dating for me, yes or no? That's too black and white. Think about it as, are you secure? Are you secure in your relationship with yourself and with God? Are you ready for marriage? Because if you're ready for marriage, then that's a time to date. And thirdly, do you have a fairly firm grasp of what your values are? And do you know what you're in for? Because there are many downsides of online dating, like scams and things like that, right? So we gotta go in like with eyes wide open. Like when Cliff started writing to me, I was like, is this guy a sex cyber stalker? Like the whole time I was like, ding, you know? And when he came to Singapore meeting face to face, first thing I did was come and meet my parents, come and meet my friends, my church leaders, like get them involved. So if you really want to meet someone online for the first time, I don't suggest meeting them alone, one-on-one, in a secluded place. I actually suggest, why don't you invite that person to take a peek at your social life, at your things that are important to you. Maybe you have a sports group in the gym, maybe you have a church activity a Bible study that you attend every week. Just ask them to come and see how that person interacts with your friends and family. Yes, I think in today's day and age where like everything is so fast and so quick, everything is instant gratification, we have to be really, really intentional to make things go more slowly. So that could possibly mean, like, there were times I actually asked Cliff, like, is it possible for us to limit like maybe an email a day or something like that?
Or we stopped emailing each other for like 2 weeks.
We took a break. We said, you can use phrases like, you know, some people say they don't know where to find the words, but you can say like, you know, I realize that our relationship is moving pretty quickly. I need some time off to recalibrate where we're at. Like to recalibrate our boundaries, to recalibrate our friendship, etc. That's perfectly okay to say. And sometimes you may need a week, 2 weeks, and that could really be a time for you to examine your heart to see, is this relationship going where God wants me to go? Or am I being overly dependent on this person? Because sometimes it can become like almost like an emotional crutch, right?
Yeah. And I think sometimes we don't want to do that because we're afraid. We're like, what if I took a break and the other person finds someone else?
Yeah.
Right? Like then you're like, oh no, I lost the chance.
Yeah.
Right? But I think we need to have some trust and actually a lot of faith.
Yeah.
Because, for example, when Wai Jia and me were emailing each other, I mean, I was in Canada and she was in Singapore.
Yeah.
And I saw her Facebook profile and I see that every time she posts something, there'll be like a whole bunch of guys who comment and likes, right? And I know she was single, like, and I thought to myself, is it possible that, you know, one day when I check her Facebook profile, her relationship status become like in a relationship, so single, you know? And so, how would I feel?
Yeah.
You know, and for me, I would say it's fine because she has the freedom to choose, and I don't want to feel like I'm so insecure that I will lose her. And if I lose her, that's fine.
Okay.
Then she's not the one.
Yeah. So interesting. So what I want to bring up, what I want to draw out is this element of trust that you so rightly brought out, because you can't overemphasize it. So the question is not so much to me whether is online dating the way to go or is it not the way to go? Because to me, even if you say, I don't want online dating, I'm totally going to throw it in the bin, but even in face-to-face interactions, if you are feeling like, I need to do more to like get someone,
Or like speed dating.
Yeah,
right?
or like,
There's so many
even if it's face-to-face, it goes back to the heart of the matter. Like, what is your heart saying? Am I doing this because I'm insecure? Or even the way you dress, or even the way you speak? I mean, those decisions that you make, do I want to give off this very flirtatious vibe? It all comes down to, am I secure? Do I trust that God has someone for me? And even deeper than that, it's not just trusting that God has someone for you, but even if I end up being single, that I would trust that God is still good and that He still has the best plans for me. I think coming to that point of surrender actually is how trust gets exemplified in our lives.
When you're emotionally, in a relationship, emotions go up and down.
Yeah.
Right? One day you'll be like, yeah, she's with me, blah, I feel great, I can conquer the world.
Yeah.
The other day you have a fight, you're like, oh no, like, I feel terrible, is this the end of our relationship? And so, like, all these rocking back and forth, right?
Yeah.
Where's your rock?
Who is your rock?
Yeah, who is your rock? Right? Because if my rock is on that relationship, on the other person, then oh man, that is very painful.
No, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I remember that when we were dating, like face to face, after you moved to Singapore, I did something very bizarre, but I'm very grateful for it. And it was that every time we met on a date, I would just come home, I would close my room door, and I would just get on my knees and I'll pray. Because the one prayer that I had to God was that, God, at any one point, if Cliff decides to change his mind, or if things don't work out between us, that I want to be still secure and anchored in you. And it's hard because every time you meet this person, right, your heart is more and more drawn to the person, you're more and more invested in the relationship, and yet you still have to keep your heart and mind and soul and spirit anchored in God, knowing that even if that person chooses to walk away, even if that person doesn't work out, that God is still God and that God is sovereign. Like, look at the Bible, like, everybody screws up, right? But God's plan still overrules. And it's that trust, I think, that can help us. Ironically, it actually helps the relationship grow in a healthy way, because we trust that, no matter what happens, God is still God and it's okay.
Yeah, and I think this part is where the emotions are very, the heart is very fickle. Because the heart is where it's very deceptive in this situation. I'm not saying you shouldn't trust your heart. Like, I mean, if you like a girl and your heart, just go bum, 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 like, when you know that she look at you and her the eyes kind of meet together like this Korean drama, right? And your heart goes bum, 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 right? You're like, oh, is this the sign? I think that's a good feeling about the heart. But at the other time, it's like, the heart can sometimes deceive you, because these are the part where when the heart is fickle, like, where do you cling on to? Because that is a time where it's very hard to trust in the heart, even though it's so strong in you to trust your heart. Whatever happens, I'm gonna trust in Him. Let Him be the one who is the wind of my sails.
Let me just put some summary points, to what we've talked about. I think the first thing is that the element of trust. Have a certain amount of trust and faith in the whole process. That it's a journey of discovery. That's the other word that came up to me. One is trust, one is discovery. That it's not so much like throwing darts. Let me find the one person and boom, I must hit it. Dating is really an exploration stage. You're not committed for life yet. It's okay to say that, wow, I didn't realize that we are so different in our values. I think I need to recalibrate, and maybe it's better if we go separate ways. It's okay to say that. So it's a journey of discovery, not final commitment, right? And the third thing that came up to me is also intention to take it slow, like being very intentional about putting things in the right pace. So trust and faith, that's the first thing. A journey of discovery, and a third one, taking things slow, being very intentional about it.
When in doubt,
Because like you say, you're going to get married for the rest of your lives. There's no need to rush into it, right?
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching our Couch Convo.
We hope that you enjoyed it and learned something to apply in your life.
Are you ready?
What?
See you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.